For me, growing up, a telephone was used for simply talking on the telephone. But as time progressed, so has the evolution of the telephone. Pretty much everything you do on your computer can basically be done on your phone now. All industries use a phone one way or another to conduct business. But did you ever think that your phone can actually be your business? Well, one very smart, business savvy young lady who goes by the name of Nita Nashville has done just that. Nita is a photographer who takes her pictures completely off her cell phone. And in just a short time, she's gained quite a success taking photos from models, musicians, and social media influencers. And all of this success, she's only had her business for a little over a year. This episode may have you looking at your cell phone in a completely different way. So take a listen as I talk business with Nita Nashville. Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin Mumphrey once again, and this is the second episode of Talking Business. Today, we're going to talk about the business of photography. And today, I have a local photographer from the Nashville area. She goes by the name of Nita Nashville. How are you doing, Nita?
Good. How are you?
I am great. So, what made you get into photography?
Well, I originally started going to school for music business and got my minor in marketing. I actually did not even consider photography as something as my main thing. I've always done it on the side as a hobby, growing the interest of the marketing side of having high quality content for your Instagram. At the time, the iPhone 8 Plus was really good as just like any other camera that you would use for good photography game and receiving high quality photos. And I took the interest of doing photos with my iPhone 8 Plus at the time and taking some pretty cool photos for my Instagram. But obviously saw an opportunity during the pandemic and made literally a living off of just shooting photos on my iPhone.
So, what outside of the pandemic, what made you go, let's try to make this a business?
I originally wanted to work at WME or CAA, the two biggest talent agencies here in Nashville. I went to school for music business, so, I kind of just wanted to work in that field originally. But during the pandemic, since the music scene was on a halt or on pause, I just knew there was no way I was going to receive a job in that field, and so I kind of turned towards marketing. I did receive a job in that field for a short period of time, but I was motivated to eventually do my own thing, which is giving out high quality photos at reasonable prices. I kind of gained confidence from that, taking a sales job for a hot minute. And I just decided to do my own thing, since my business attitude.
So how did you go about finding your first customers?
So luckily, since I'm always been around the entertainment scene and had a bunch of friends that are also involved in the music industry and stuff, I knew that most of my clientele would be people who are mostly interested in building their Instagram brand and their portfolio. Everyone needs high quality photos to be taken seriously in any industry. And so luckily I was able to come across people who just needed really good photos at a quick time during the pandemic. Most of them were musicians, and then it eventually grew to models and influencers and even doctors. They need profile headshots as well, So that's pretty much how it started with musicians and then expanded on up.
So how much word of mouth would you say kind of benefited you as far as gaining more of a clientele?
In the beginning, I was wishing for 12 clients a month, and I had to do DoorDash on the side to make ends meet. But then, as my marketing grew over time, I started to receive about literally now at this point, I have at least 30 plus clients, and throughout the month, and it works out perfectly for now. But as time goes on, I gradually increase my prices, and the money amount changes. So it becomes easier, livable, and, my pricing is reasonable, but because I worked with 2 to 3 clients a day almost, it pays the bills.
So,
and it keeps growing from there.
So what was your strategy as far as marketing yourself?
So I had to make sure that I was standing out from other people who were also photographers, because there's a lot of photographers in Nashville, and it's a competitive field. And a lot of people always ask me the same question: how are you getting so many clients? And honestly, I think it's just doing things differently than most photographers, because if I followed the same path as they did, I would probably end up like they did, when it comes to struggling to get clients. But luckily I did progress the skill set in editing, and it made me more versatile, and I can do all different types of edits and at reasonable prices and give them their photos in 1 to 3 days. So I think that's what really helped push the game for me in this field in marketing.
So you said you get your photos back like 1 to 3 days.
Yes.
Like how does kind of that time frame, does it kind of help like gaining more customers?
It makes me quick. I'm sure a lot of photographers are able to do the same thing. But because I guess I edit everything on my phone or on my iPad really quickly, it gives me the opportunity to have a lot of clients throughout the day. I can work with 2 to 3, and then the next day 2 to 3, and then the next day 2, 1. I try to give myself a little break in between, depending on how many photos my clients want, because at the end of the day, I always let them choose how many they need.
Now, like you said, you need to get yourself a break in. There's important work-life balance. So how do you like schedule out your clients?
Yeah, so normally I try to always make sure that my calendar is never actually controlled by my clientele. Not because I don't want them to choose the days, but it just helps me out for in case if I ever need a break. And so at the same time, I don't want any of my clients to look at a calendar I would have had seen visibly to everybody in the public. I wouldn't want my clients to look at that and be like, oh, she's booked out till December or something like that, and they won't be interested in working with me. Well, since I'm really quick as a photographer, I have the flexibility to always worm around and work with many other clients. And sometimes schedules change. And so I have the benefit of having more control over, in case if someone needs to shoot at the last minute, I can be like, ooh, I have this day open now. So it's always cool to be able to work with having 2 or 3 clients a day. That's the goal for me all the time. And then my rainy days are technically my off days. And sometimes my clients might reschedule or something might come up. I don't do a cancellation fee or anything because stuff happens, I'm not mad. I'm not angry, because honestly, if I had 2, 3 clients in one of those days and one of them canceled, that's kind of a break for me. Or I get time to do my laundry or something like that. So that's how my schedule works, and it works out for me when there's a reschedule or a cancellation, so it works out.
Now, how do you go about like with far as like you do influencers, musicians, like so what is kind of the difference in maybe how you would shoot it, depending on who you shoot?
It all depends on what the vibe that they're wanting to go for. If I'm shooting a musician and they just want some profile headshots, so the editing is going to be more simple. But still a bit of a cinematic approach in a way. And sometimes some artists and musicians want to go for a vibe that's more chill or moody or darker tones, They pretty much tell me what they kind of want to go for, and I just pretty much help with that vibe, So it's just communication. When they tell me what they want, or they have an idea or they have a picture in mind that's similar to the other, it helps me out to understand what they want to go for.
Now, like I said, photography is a very competitive business, especially here since so many people are moving to Nashville.
Yes.
But you do your photography in your own unique way. So do you see maybe other people copying your business structure?
If anything, I think it'd be great if maybe they did. Because at the end of the day, like, I get this a lot. Aren't you afraid, like, someone's going to, like, copy your business or something like that? Not really, because everyone owns an iPhone. And I just use it, and I'm one that's gunning for it and making a living off of it. Like, I'm ever so pleased and proud of it, But like I said, it goes back to the whole marketing strategy. Not everyone is gonna be you, And so since I made my brand and my business put together, most people who know me will just want to work with me because they like me personally. And some people are just interested in literally my high quality photos at reasonable prices in the business in general. So no one can really take that away per se. No different from being a guitarist. Anyone can play the guitar, but we'll never forget the greats.
Yeah.
So that's how I see that. So that whole pricing strategy, if you want to get more, some of the clients that come up to me all the time and I have to tell them another day or another time, I mean, you'll benefit me helping me out. So
That's not something you hear very often. Like most people almost want to be like a monopoly. They don't necessarily want others copying your blueprint. Now, how did you go about, because pricing is a important point for you and it makes you stand out. How do you kind of structure your prices?
Yeah, so my method is pretty much like the Netflix approach. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but I don't know if you remember, but Netflix used to charge $5 in the mail for watching a movie or getting the DVD and stuff. Now it's like $20 coming out of my account automatically, but I don't bat an eye. I'm loyal to Netflix. Everyone has Netflix, but it grew over time. Yeah, it grew over time. And so that's pretty much how I want my business method to be. It's really cheap and reasonably priced, but it will gradually grow over time, if you know what I mean. So, and I hopefully hope that my loyal fan base or my client base will want to, keep continuing to work with me because they know me, but I still like my approach being reasonably priced in general. So I don't see myself going too high, but I see myself, growing as my clientele is growing here in Nashville. I just want to basically spread my name and grow more opportunities and help others, get high quality photos at reasonable prices. It's much needed in the entertainment scene. It's always going to be a need.
Now, obviously Nashville is a growing entertainment scene and pretty much your work is in Nashville. Would you look to do it, let's say outside of Nashville, like Atlanta, California?
Definitely. I feel like the more and more I grow my clientele here, and word gets out about me shooting on the iPhone in general, I feel like my pricing will help out anyone who is interested in my work, obviously at reasonable prices, and so I definitely had some clients that came from Nashville, that came from LA and New York just to work with me. And that was such a great experience.
So they're coming to you now.
Yeah, some do. It's awesome. It was a great experience just to them telling me that.
So you've had a quite amount of growth in just really a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, has it been a bit overwhelming for you at all?
Yeah, well, because I'm an introvert. I mean, getting people hitting me up, literally I started saying I just want 12 clients a month at least. Come on. Now it's 12 clients messaging me at once, trying to schedule a date, and it's overwhelming a little bit. So when people say, aren't you afraid people are going to steal your ideas? I'm like, no. If they want to do the same thing that I'm doing, that just helps me out. What if there's only one Walmart in the whole country?
That's probably 7 Walmarts in my area alone.
Exactly. Thank God.
So you mentioned that you was an introvert, but you have to go out and sell yourself or sell what you do in your service. So how do you navigate doing that? Well,
I like that I am an introvert, and I like that I have to express myself as an extrovert. It's the best of both worlds because you kind of have to be extrovert in order for people to understand you and get used to you and even like you. But being an introvert, you're really good at observing and listening to what people are wanting. That's why I'm so quick with my photography. I literally last less than an hour with my clients most of the time. And when I'm listening to what they're wanting, it's quicker for me to, okay, we're able to nail this in 20 minutes, So, but being around people, at the end of the day, I'm networking and I'm spreading my name in Nashville, so it's always a benefit. So I always make sure I normally last at least an hour or an hour and a half or less or something like that with each client, because that also gives me a chance to breathe and not have to work with someone 4 hours straight or 2 hours straight. And I like that I'm honest with my clients too, because they know me. They know I'm also that way. And most of my clients are like that too, which is a benefit because they're like, whew, I don't have to do a 2 hour shoot. Thank God. So they come back and hit me up the next month or something for a next shoot. So that's the benefit with my message to my business.
So it's quick, efficient, and they get their photos by the time they probably go before they go to bed.
Yeah.
Now, do you like with photographers? Obviously, a lot of photographers they spend like a whole bunch of money on their equipment, their lighting, their cameras, their lenses, and they may see you promote yourself and you building a business with just an iPhone. Have you
Yep.
seen any kind of pushback from that?
Pushback, as in people saying something,
Like
or
other
more like,
photographers or people in general?
yeah, definitely all the time. But it's also like I'm exposing myself using my iPhone particularly. So also for two reasons. One reason to enlighten other photographers that they sometimes don't need all that fancy gear. And number two, there's people who actually went to school for photography. I didn't. And there's people who actually have a passion for photography. And I didn't really have that in the beginning, but I grew to love it. And I hope that people who are into photography realize that you don't need an expensive camera. You can just use your iPhone if you really love photography so much. And obviously, I expose my content all the time on social media so they can see all the different things they can do with just using your iPhone. I do like 30 plus different types of editing, like neon style, vintage style, professional landscape style, car photo shoots. Like, it's endless. And I hope to enlighten others that they don't need to spend 10K on equipment.
Now, do you think that if you had started this business, maybe not in that, maybe in your hometown, do you think you could have gained the success that you currently have gotten?
No, because I mean, I'm not gonna say no per se, but I think it's a lot easier to gain that to gain more of something out of Nashville because it's entertainment based, and a lot of entertainers in general need content for their social media. There are entertainers in my hometown, but it's not as heavy traffic or of interest. They can literally just ask their cousin or their friend to do their photo shoot for them. They don't feel the need, to need high quality content at reasonable prices every day, every month, or whatever. But here in Nashville, I feel like everyone needs it, and it's a common need. Definitely a high traffic trend here, and it always will be like that, especially when people are realizing that they could be TikTok famous. People realize that they can just be influencer famous, and all those TikTokers and influencers need high quality photos. Not all of them can afford $500 photo shoots every day, every month, or whenever they want. And with me and my business, I'm able to give them that, especially their photos in 1 to 3 days.
So now you use social media as also a point of promotion for yourself. So how important is social media for your business?
Crucial, because they're able to see my content all the time, every single day. And I pretty much broadcast that all the time on social media. Because everyone is pretty much on social media, they're inclined to see my work. And sometimes it influences them to want to work with me when they see the content and how fast I turn them right in. I'm able to use the stories on my Facebook and my Instagram showing me working with a client that day and then them getting their photos that day. And you see the proof when I post the examples of their photos right after their photo shoot. So it gives my business exposure right on the dime. And that's why I love social media so much, because it's so much easier for my clients or just random people to see what I do and what life is like for me as an iPhone photographer.
Now, would you say like most of your clientele like comes from social media or word of mouth?
It's both.
So both works kind of. Now, when you like when you were starting, was it more word of mouth at the beginning?
I think when I was starting, it was definitely it was definitely visual. People seen it mostly on social media, and they grew interested. And then once I started working with more and more people, then the word of mouth started spreading a lot quicker because, once they see so much of my content, the people who haven't even worked with me yet, they'll still spread the word about me because they see so much of my content on social media. So, and it's awesome. It's really great that a lot of people are who haven't even worked with me yet are still spreading my name, in Nashville.
Now, you went to college for marketing, right?
Yeah, music
Or
business and
music
marketing.
business. So, what did you take from what you gotten from college and
Yeah.
used in your business?
Yeah. So in music business, my class is mostly focused on, the need for exposure, and marketing focused more on the need for standing out. Because there's a lot of businesses and there's a lot of stores, there's a lot of sports brands, there's a lot of photographers, and marketing sole focus is standing out from the crowd. And I was able to remind myself that I have to make my message clear. Yeah, I might be an iPhone photographer. There are also a bunch of iPhone photographers out there too. But being able to make my message stand out, saying I give out high quality photos at reasonable prices and you get your photos in 1 to 3 days, that made me stick out more, and also using an iPhone. So I definitely have no problem of making sure people know, oh, I'm an iPhone photographer, because then it makes them more interested. They're like, you did all that with an iPhone? Because you can name anyone with a camera on all 10 of your fingers who have a camera, but people who shoot on their iPhone, you can probably name like one or two. So thank God for marketing class. But definitely in the music scene and the music business and the entertainment industry, it's so crucial to make sure that your brand is sticking out on social media, or you can't be taken seriously as an artist if you're upcoming or independent. So
Now, so I'm guessing at this point, there's no way you're going to Android.
You know, people ask me, are you just promoting the iPhone or cellular devices in general? And I mean, at the time, the 8 Plus was like the thing when it came to really close camera work compared to.
Because you always
an
hear
actual
that
camera.
the Androids are like, they have supposedly the better camera.
Well, now I feel like they have updated their camera game, and I don't hate it. I mean, I don't hate the Android per se. I just own an iPhone for the time being. So I would definitely be interested in testing out that camera quality on the Android though. But cell phones in general should definitely be used for photography nowadays as well.
Now, again, like what you do, like for us, what you do is fairly simple. It's like most people do take photos on their iPhone. But like you said, it's not like a lot of people are taking your blueprint and running with it. Why do you think that?
I don't know, maybe it's just because it's not a common thing, first of all. Like, to an extent, I see it on TikTok a lot about people using their iPhones, taking photos and stuff, which is awesome. It's a cool hobby to do as well. I mean, I started off as a hobby too. But some people don't actually do it for a living. But then when they see me doing it for a living, maybe one day it will make people more interested in doing it for a living as well. Especially if you're passionate in the photography game or just want to do not work a 9 to 5. I don't know. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to just be an iPhone photographer and make a living out of it.
Now, have you always kind of had the entrepreneurial spirit to you?
I, um, yes, technically yes. It just grew over time. The confidence definitely grew over time. With just some basic structure and understanding that foundation is so important, networking is so important. I've come to realize that the more I expose myself, the better my opportunities live on, or more chances I could get more opportunities.
Now, for some certain people there's certain people that are better at networking than others. So how do you go about networking yourself?
Someone told me when it comes to networking, most people think that you have to shake your hand and give you your name all the time. But honestly, sometimes networking is just showing up somewhere and just being there. Because sometimes when you just show up and you're just there, someone's eventually going to keep, someone's going to watch you and they're going to be like, hey, I've seen you at this venue a couple times. What's your name, But yeah, and I definitely went to networking events too as well. And that was helpful too. So meeting a lot of people and just basically giving them a brief information about who I am, what I'm about, and then getting to know them as well, because you never know who's going to be beneficial in your life. But most of my networking was just basically going out and doing my job. Since I'm a photographer and I shoot at a lot of concerts, I know I'm going to run into a lot of people who might be interested in my business or curious. And even when they see me and I don't even say anything, they see me, but then they might see me again because I do a lot of concert shoots as well. And they're gonna eventually might say something, oh, hey, I saw you at this show and da-da-da-da, So I always tell myself speaking is important, but being there is very important as well.
Now, I heard you mention about people just coming up to you just for curiosity. Is that almost like a selling point for you? Like it almost kind of helps you gain business?
It does, because I stand out. That's the key with marketing, standing out. You don't want to be just like everybody else. The more you're just like everybody else, you have more of a chance of just turning out like everybody else. And everyone's brand and everyone's, message and their purpose is different. I have photographer friends that are way more expensive than I am, but their purpose is a little different from mine. My whole purpose is spreading my name in Nashville. I did not go to school for photography. I went to school for music business and marketing. So I always wanted to spread my name in Nashville, because you never know. Maybe one day a celebrity might come into town and heard my name through word of mouth. I just happen to know this iPhone photographer. I'm spreading my name and they might catch awareness and be like, hey, let's work together. And if we did, that will work out for me because it'll spread my business even more. So that's the trick for me, is just making sure my name is being spread out, and you never know who you might end up working with. I was able to get a gig at the Ryman Auditorium shooting on my iPhone. That's it. And I got paid for it. So like opportunities like that.
So kind of elaborate more on your Ryman experience. So how did that even come about?
Literally, I went to a show at Tin Roof doing a shoot for a guy who plays the piano, and his set got cut really early, and there was a bunch of kids that kind of ran up on stage right after him, and come to find out it was the School of Rock. They were performing at the Tin Roof, and I loved them so much. I kept going back to their shows. Word got out about who I was and what I was about. I even took a couple free photos for the kids and stuff, and the parents spread my name. They spread my name, and then the owner of School of Rock got word of me and said, hey, I just want to chat and, talk about interest of you shooting at the Ryman Auditorium for the kids at, the Ryman Auditorium for the School of Rock. And I was just like, yes. So just like I'm saying, just being there, like, did I go up to the parents and tell them who I was? No, not really. They came up to me when they started wondering why I was taking photos on my phone. But once they saw the work and I just handed out the photos for free, they were so honored. They was like, oh, you take great photos of my kids. We got to talk to you and tell the boss, the owner of School of Rock, and let them know about your services and da-da-da-da. So since the kids, got used to seeing my face all the time, the owner thought I'd be a great candidate for taking photos of them at the school, at the Ryman Auditorium. So that's how I was able to get that opportunity, just being there.
From MTSU to the Ryman.
Yes, it's so cool because so many camera photographers would love to shoot at the Ryman Auditorium, and I was able to get my little first parking spot right up at the Ryman, walk right in.
Oh, you felt real official.
I did.
So were there any other photographers there with you?
There was just one other photographer who was working for the Tennessean, just, spreading the word about School of Rock, performing at the Ryman, so, but that was it. It was just me, and I was hustling my butt for 3 hours straight during the whole performance, but it was such a great opportunity, and definitely something I'm going to put on my resume.
Oh, you better. Now, have you thought of because your phone is like work equipment, so you thought about getting, and some people kind of have a business phone and a work phone. So have you thought of like getting an extra phone for your business, for one to just use to shooting?
I don't have an extra phone. I just use mine, and I do have an iPad, which doesn't have a number to it though. But it's just I have two accessible like things to like transfer work over, or because the iPad now has a lot of terabyte space at this point and gigabyte space, and if anything, I just transfer work over there or something like that. But no, I don't feel the need to get a business or two different phones. I feel like maybe if needed and I, generate more money, I might. But for now, it's not really necessary.
Now, cameras also have video with it. So
Yeah.
are you looking to kind of upgrade to doing, let's say, video work at all with an iPhone?
I definitely do video work as well. Yeah, I was definitely pushed in March to start doing some video work. I do a lot of BTS shoots, behind the scenes shoots for music video people, because there's a lot of people who have video production stuff, and they themselves want a couple video content behind the scenes at reasonable prices. Sometimes they don't want to spend literally $7K or $6,000 or $1,000 just for behind the scenes shoots. So that's where I come in handy. I just show up and take some behind the scenes shoots for them and stuff, and we're all set. And with video content, I charge differently for my photo content, but it's still at reasonable prices. But yeah, so it definitely works out doing video as well.
So were you ever planning on doing it, or the video aspect just kind of like a situation just kind of fell in your lap?
The situation fell into my lap. I figured since, I might as well take the opportunity to start getting better and learning more about how to be better at video. Because it's still the eye game. If you have a good eye, use it, So that's how I took the approach of just doing video as well. And like I said, just giving people that opportunity. When I do concert shoots, I only charge $80 because concert shoots is such a high clientele. I get that all the time. And so I literally give them at least 20 to 30 photos, and then they get a 1-minute video clip in 4K of them. So it's like a valuable gift for them, So they're just like, I can use this for my social media. And it's in 4K.
So you basically get paid to go to concerts.
Yeah. Do photos and video.
Now, do you have are you able to have time to like enjoy the concert while you're working, or do you kind of mentally put yourself?
100%, yes. Because it only takes me like 25 to 30 minutes, if most, to shoot the show. Some shows are like 45 minutes or an hour. So I definitely have time to just sit there and listen, or I'm just editing while they're still playing. So, because I definitely also have clients that perform on Broadway, and they do long sets, like 4 hours, and my butt is just there for 25 minutes and I dip, or I'm there for 25 minutes and I edit and I show them their work, and their work is done right there on the spot. So it's definitely, yeah, I definitely am able to enjoy the show as well.
Now, have you shot anything in Broadway?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so
I shot at many
what
venues
other
there.
notable places have you done shoots at?
Well, as far as the bigger ones, the Ryman was the biggest for me. I definitely did. I was supposed to actually do a shoot at the Music City Center as well for an event, but then COVID, the Delta virus thing became more of a issue, and so they actually had to postpone the show. But other than that, I do a lot of shoots at hotels. There's a lot of events that happen at private areas in hotels, So I shot at the AC, the new, I think it's called the AC Hotel that just opened in Nashville. And I shoot at the Virgin Motel all the time. Broadway, I shoot at the famous bars down there, Nudies, Johnny Cash. I'm shooting at Kid Rock's this Saturday coming up, so it's an endless amount. Bowie's, it's awesome though at the same time. It's like cool to get paid to just go to shows at the same time.
Now, as we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you, you kind of carved a path for yourself, rather by accident or chosen. Now, usually when people kind of get into business, they have mentors or books they can read. But again, like I said, you built your own blueprint. Is that kind of is it scary to go kind of go at a venture alone, or is it something that's kind of excites you?
It's not scary. It does excite me because I don't know what's to come, but I do know the method. If you expose yourself out there, no different from anybody else, more opportunities can come to you, you know? So that's kind of how I take that approach and been traveling with that mindset ever since. But always making sure that I am valuable to people and I'm always, you know, putting myself out there because that's how I was able to get those really great opportunities.